May I start with saying that our next speaker is a leader whose career itself is a masterclass in purpose driven leadership. I took one line from his LinkedIn bio, which says, I took the road less traveled, and it has truly made all the difference. This line defines what true leadership is all about. It's definitely not following the herd. Mr. Sunil Kumar Misra is one of India's most respected industry leaders, a name synonymous with policy and nation building. Currently serving as principal advisor at the Confederation of Indian Industry, Mr. Misra has spent over 3 decades shaping India's industrial, developmental, and public policy landscape. He also leads the CII development initiatives covering rural development, disaster management, and sports, and has earlier served as Director General of the Society of Indian Defense Manufacturers and the Indian Electrical and Electronics Manufacturers Association. During his tenure with CII, he has held several pivotal roles, including Head of Public Policy, Regional Director, Eastern Region, and Chief Representative of CII's East Asia office in Shanghai, where he established CII's first overseas office in China. His work has extended far beyond the boardrooms, though, from post earthquake rehabilitation in Bhuj to skill development in Ladakh after the Kargil War and to community rebuilding in insurgency affected regions like Baramulla, Patan, and Sopore in Kashmir. He also conceptualized and led two landmark diplomatic expeditions, the BCIM car rally from Kolkata to Kunming and the INSTC car rally from St. Petersburg to Chabad port, advancing India's vision for regional connectivity and trade. A man of rare vision, courage, and service, I request Mr. Sunil Misra, who embodies what it means to take the road less traveled and to make a lasting difference, to come to the stage and deliver his address.
I think, first of all, I must shorten my CV, which goes on and on. In some way, I've got a written speech also, which I will go through because it has a few points which are important to make. And somewhere in this written speech, it says that I can, there's a vibrancy in the room and energy which is perceptible. I don't know how my colleagues anticipated that, but when I came inside the room and I initially saw the film, it was inspiring, and I think it was that inspiration transcends the limitations which few of us might have of language or any other form. And before this lamp lighting, I was having a small conversation with Martin, and Martin, you mentioned something about, which you just said also about CII Innovative Implementation Fund and the 2% CSR legislation which we have in the Indian Companies Act. And that is, you are right, that is the only legislation of its kind in the world. No other country has it. And incidentally, we have in CII a foundation which specifically works on the CSR funds. And because of the foresightedness of my business leadership, this legislation came in 2013. There was an amendment in the Companies Act. But CII created the foundation in 2011. We had foreseen that this is going to happen, and we created that foundation. So what you have in mind, if I read it correctly, it is definitely possible. And presently there's some 40,000 crores, nearly 40,000 crores, which is being spent by Indian corporates for a wide variety of subjects which are listed in the Schedule 7 of the Companies Act. It definitely is something to work on, worth working on, and it will require a detailed uh, plan and a project, how to go about it so that the contours which are there are meaningful, create an impact, and also create an impact pan India, because country is very large. And since you also told me that you have been visiting India once a year and going to Bangalore and Bombay and Delhi, next time when you are here, we'll invite you to take you to tribal states and hinterland, which is very important to also experience to get a holistic picture of the country. So first of all, Mira and Martin, thank you very much for inviting me and inviting CII and IBDN to be a partner of uh, this very important initiative which you have had. And this requires something which you have to be very persistent, a lot of grit, a lot of focused work which is required. And I'm sure during the journey there are ups and downs, and not getting sort of disheartened with sometimes you have the lows. We go through it in anything which we endeavor. So I can see that for so many years, if you have been doing it, I personally have a little different background, but I'm a recent inductee to this subject within my system. 14, 15 years back, I had this subject, but 14, 15 years back, the landscape was very different. We were struggling to figure out what to do. But that what to do situation, and today, I think we have traversed a significant amount of distance. And words like accessibility and inclusivity, we used to talk about is, I remember back in 94, 95, that is the earliest I recall. But the struggle was as to how to get industry involved in it. Today, these words and their related action is no more alien to boardroom. These are very commonly discussed, and we have moved from what inclusivity to how to actually become inclusive. And there's a lot of sensitization which has happened in the last 15, 20 years. So formally, I would like to welcome you, Martin, to India, and thank you for championing this subject so passionately. And your support has given a big fillip to the accessibility ecosystem globally, I'm told. And the Zero Project is an example of how a single thought of creating zero barriers can become a global movement. We would want to be part of it in whatever little manner with Mira and her organization's guidance. Welcome, Mira, to you. Deep appreciation from industry for the leadership and work you have done over years to correct the perception and contributing to mainstream the challenged workforce. At CII, we firmly believe that inclusion is not a gesture of goodwill, but it's necessary for the growth of this country. And obviously, because the numbers which are involved, if they are left behind, then growth of the country will be significantly lower. So there's a vested interest from the country's development point of view also. As I said, for almost 3 decades or more, CII has worked to translate intent into impact through the CII Foundation and initiatives such as India Business Disability Network, which you see here. And our focus has been to make inclusion measurable, scalable, and sustainable. And I must admit that we have endeavored to do a lot of work in our own way, but it is not enough. It is not enough because what is required is much more. And the industry which has become sensitized is only a small percentage. And there's a large industry which still needs to get on board in a meaningful manner. In today's world, inclusion has evolved far beyond human race, and it is now a pillar of national progress. And across sectors such as manufacturing, IT, retail, and tourism, Indian industry is adopting inclusion. And I said, if I compare it from what it was 20 years back as to today, we have covered a lot of ground, but definitely much, much more needs to be done. Having observed this disability inclusion issue over the years, we have seen change. The credit for this change goes to, in fact, all of you in this room today. It is your time, effort, and advocacy that has led us to this moment when organizations are no more asking why we should be inclusive. Those were the questions sometimes, and I'm privy to that. I'm talking about 30 years back. But now it is the usual question is, how can I be inclusive? What can I? The industry seeks us out as to how they can get more inclusive, not only from the disability point of view, but other point of views also. Companies are hiring persons with disabilities, conducting accessibility audits, investing in inclusive skilling, and building enabling workplace cultures. But given the scale and complexity of the country, a lot more needs to be done, and especially in a country as vast and diverse as ours. And diversity is what, Martin, I want you to see in future. CII through IBDN has driven this momentum within the industry through awareness and sensitization, leadership dialogues, exchanging good practices and policy consultations to help businesses become both future ready and equitable. Because inclusion of persons with disability is not just a moral duty, and we believe that it is an economic imperative to achieve the goal of Viksit Bharat. Our Prime Minister has set a goal for us for a developed India. And in Hindi, we call it Viksit Bharat. So that will be difficult to achieve if we don't take into serious consideration the population which is specially challenged. Globally, over 1 billion people live with some form of disability. The world's, and of course, 1/6 would be in India in any case. They are vital contributors to social and economic progress, and it makes both moral and business sense to ensure their full participation in every sphere of life, including work. Our collaboration with Zero Project and Youth for Jobs Foundation brings a powerful international dimension to this effort, facilitating cross-learning, sharing of best practices, and the replication of impactful models. This conference serves as a bridge connecting the local innovation with global influence. I will be very curious about this part as to how this global influence and the innovation which you have tapped from across the globe can be applied here and vice versa. Looking ahead, CII and IBDN are committed to embedding inclusion within the core business strategy of every organization, at least our members. We are developing sectoral roadmaps in areas such as accessible tourism, digital inclusion, and inclusive workplaces. We recently had a workshop a few days back in which all these topics were discussed and deliberated at length. And I must also say that there are a lot of organizations, many organizations who are in and around Delhi, and there are many of them who are dotted across the country, who are taking forward this agenda in their respective area of influence and geography. We are in touch with many of them. The government also, in fact, has been doing a significant amount of facilitating work, facilitating in terms of policy, facilitation in terms of implementation of work. And while we plan this implementation fund, etc., we should keep the aspect of keeping the federal government and also state government involved in that. As we chart our journey as far as Viksit Bharat is concerned, and also India at 100, we just completed India at 75. And now we are looking at what India should be at 100. The vision is very clear as far as CII is concerned, that We want the nation where every citizen of every ability can contribute meaningfully and prosper equally. Inclusion should not be just a goal, it is the pathway to sustainable growth and shared prosperity. Thank you very much. I look forward to the deliberations today and tomorrow, and of course, be part of your journey in times to come. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.